honor to be speaking to members of the J Camp. Neil, thank you so much for inviting me. It's really a treat for me to be here. Now, this is a wonderful, wonderful program. Journalism is a very, very important part of my life, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about why that's so. I want to speak to you a few minutes about something that's very important to me, and then we'll open it up to questions. The majority of the time I like to just take the questions. But I want to begin by, as Neil pointed out, going back to a moment in time that sort of defined my career. And let me set the stage for you, if you will. I had been at ABC News about 9 months, and I had been recruited from CNN, where I spent 3 years, and before that I was a reporter at the Washington Post. So later, if you have questions about what it's like to be in print and what it's like to be in broadcast, I can talk to you a little bit about that. But anyway, I was at ABC News, and I had not gone up to New York. I'm based in Washington, and I had not gone up to New York to meet some of the major executives up there, people that would influence my life, so I figured that at some point I better go up there. So I happened to go there on September 10th, 2000. And the irony here is I can't quite figure out why things happened the way that they did, but I had my meetings, everything went well, and about 6:45 or so, it was very overcast, it was thundering, and one of the executives said, Pierre, rather than you go out to LaGuardia, which is the airport and fly out, sit for 3 hours, and then have your flight canceled, why don't you stay overnight? Again, that's September 10th, 2001. So I stay overnight, have a pretty good dinner, and at 9, I'm thinking, okay, 9 the next morning, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to take 11 o'clock shuttle, 11:30 shuttle, I'll sort of ease back into Washington. Well, a little bit after 9, my wife called me, and she said, did you see that plane hit the World Trade Center? And I said, no. And I'm immediately thinking propeller plane somehow gets, misguided and, hits a tower. So I turned on the television, and at that moment, all the coverage live was focused on the trade center. And from there, the next thing I know, I was on set with Peter Jennings and John Miller, who was a well-known police reporter, soon-to-be anchor at ABC News. So let me just share with you a few thoughts from that day. Images. A plane crashes into a World Trade Center tower. Explosion. Fire. Smoke. Minutes later, like some horrible rerun, another plane hits the other tower. Again, an explosion, fire, and smoke. Another plane attacks the Pentagon. Another crashes into a Pennsylvania field. Confusion. In Manhattan, the towers come tumbling down, and a huge plume of dust and debris rolls through the city, moving slowly, as if in slow motion, like death itself, like something out of biblical times. Thousands die, gone forever. Tears. Cell phone conversations between loved ones. Goodbye. Tears. Relatives desperately searching for victims, sometimes holding up photographs of the missing. More tears. In many ways, that fateful day is still inconceivable to me. Deep down, it's impossible to try to fully put my arms around what happened. But the images and stories of September 11th, 9/11, are forever etched in my mind. You probably remember it too. In fact, when the request came for me to come and speak with you, 9/11 was the first thing that came to my mind. The reason is that September 11th reminded me why I got into journalism in the first place. For you see, in the midst of the horror of 9/11, journalism, an often criticized profession, for me, was a high calling, a public service. Other than consoling and somehow helping the victims, what better job to have than to try to provide accurate, timely, and important information to the public in a time of crisis. People were looking to us, trusting those of us in the media, to tell them the facts that we could best determine them. At the time of the crash, I can guarantee you that for the overwhelming majority of reporters, it was not about a byline in the newspaper or magazine, or about FaceTime or airtime on television or radio. I think at one point that week I had 8 hours sleep in 4 days. We need people in journalism who pursue it for noble reasons, people who see it as a high public service. We need people like you. Black, yellow, olive, white, brown, people like you. Diversity. I believe that newsrooms should reflect the demographics, the mosaic of the nation. Not necessarily because it may affect the nature of coverage, but because it seems to me only fair. So prepare yourself, seek excellence, and develop the craft of reporting and writing. Leave no room for any doubt about how good you are. Journalism is so important because reporters help shape the national dialogue. We try to give people information about the things affecting their lives. And it's important that the people making the decisions about what gets covered reflect diverse points of view. When that happens, readers, listeners, and viewers in the media institutions